Last year, I decided to audition for a drama competition in which 4 different plays would compete, but only one would win the title of Best Performance. If I'm honest, I wasn't the most confident person, and I'm still not now. I very easily can feel self-conscious. I thought my performance skills were average at best, and I wasn't very good in front of a crowd. Throughout the audition process, there were 2 main thoughts that kept rushing back to me. The first was, you can't do this, and naturally this terrified me. I let it blow up and almost prevent me from going through with it. There was a lot of pressure from different people, and it made me feel like I was really going to let them down if I didn't go through with it, even though I knew they only wanted the best for me. But why? Why was I so afraid? It's not like anything about it was life-threatening. I wasn't going to get hurt. But I still was as scared as I have been, standing at the edge of a cliff, staring down, about to take a step off, sweating like crazy, and trust a harness enough to carry me safely across the valley. So, what exactly made me feel like this? I was suffering from a variety of fears, some that were smaller, that came and went, but these 4 main fears kept coming up. Aticophobia, the fear of making a mistake. Glossophobia, the fear of public speaking. Catagelophobia, the fear of being put down or embarrassed. And atelophobia, the fear of imperfection. Now, although my fears weren't extreme, they blurred the lines between reality and my imagination, so I began to imagine the worst possible outcome. Saying or doing something wrong on stage and having everyone laugh or giggle and judge me. That's when I heard the other thought. What if? What if I aren't as bad as I put myself out to be? What if it's all in my head? What if nothing goes wrong? That's what pushed me into the audition, having a little bit more faith and trust in myself. But it left me wondering, why are people afraid to try something new? When humans lived in the wild, it was fear that kept them alive. Over time, health and safety in our society have improved exponentially, meaning the risk of getting hurt has decreased along with it. And whilst fear can save us when in difficult situations, sometimes there is no need for it to take over the mind. Neophobia is the fear of anything new. There are a few smaller fears that people may experience that lead up to them having neophobia. These 4 fears consist of the fear of judgment, the fear of failure, the fear of the unknown, and the fear of change. People are afraid to do things because they may be judged. According to Nathan Heflick, PhD, the spotlight effect refers to the likeliness to think that others notice something more about you than they actually do. Many studies in social psychology have proven it's the center of egocentrism and seeing our lives only through our own perspectives and experiences, which, in turn, means that others are too busy caught up in their own ordeals to actually notice what you're doing. You will always be your biggest critic, looking for the smallest imperfection, when in reality, they won't matter in the long game, and neither will anyone else's judgments. So now we have an idea of why people are afraid to try something new, because they may be judged. But why exactly would people judge them? This leads on to my next point, the fear of failure. Failing is embarrassing. Everyone would much rather get it right the first time, but realistically, that's not possible. Failure is tightly related to self-esteem and confidence. It can break us down. However, it shouldn't prevent us from doing things. Instead, it should teach us how to grow and develop. Wayne Gretzky once said, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." In other words, he's saying that unless you try and you put in enough courage, you're never going to succeed. Personally, I know I've regretted a lot more what I didn't try out than what I did but failed at. So now we have an idea of why people are afraid to try things they know about. But what if they don't know what's coming up? This leads on to my next point, the fear of the unknown. There's a story about a black door. Although there are many different versions of this story, this one's by Paul J. Meyer. A spy is captured during a desert war. A wise old warlock who sentences him to death gives him the choice between facing a quick death by firing squad or taking his chances by passing through a mysterious black door. Imagining terrible things behind the black door, the spy chooses the firing squad, and moments later, the rifle shot signifies death. The warlock then turns to his aide and says, "You see how it is with people? They will always prefer the known to the unknown. That man went quietly to his death, even though I gave him the choice. The aide then asked the warlock what lay behind the black door, and the warlock replied, freedom. And I've known very few men brave enough to take it. This story portrays a situation many of us face each and every day, a choice between the known and the unknown. Few of us have the courage to stop being overwhelmed by a sea of normality and try something new. And in most cases, such as the black door story, the benefits that arise from trying something new heavily outweigh the outcomes of sticking to what we're used to, which leads us on to the fear of change. Although a fear of change can be being afraid to change your lifestyle or your actions, it can also be as simple as changing your thoughts or mindset. For example, by having a closed or fixed mindset, you limit your beliefs, which in turn limit what you're actually capable of. There's an old Chinese proverb that quotes, "Pearls don't lie on the seashore. If you want one, you must dive for it." This again relates to the idea that you need to be brave enough to dive in head first if you really want anything. So, are there any benefits to trying something new? Well, you could split it into 3 sections: psychological, physical, and emotional. Psychological benefits include things like stimulating creativity, improving confidence levels. You may also feel like time slows down. What I mean by that is you may think your days are longer or you get more out of them. Physical benefits include things like improving your body's abilities to react to challenges. You may also learn a new skill, and it keeps you on your toes. Emotional benefits include things like feeling senses of pride, happiness, or accomplishment. You may also develop a greater appreciation for what life has to offer, as well as a greater respect for yourself. So, how exactly can we get over these fears? Well, for the more general fears, looking for positives like an end result or product may help. Going through it with a friend or someone you trust may help you go through the journey with less anxiety, or even just understanding your fear, the reasons why you have it, how it affects you, and then embracing it and moving on. For the more specific fears, such as the fear of judgment, learning that judgment is unavoidable, no matter how hard you try. Learning that the human brain only has limited data reserves, so eventually people will forget. And remembering, as I previously explained, that the spotlight effect is altering your thoughts. As for the fear of failure, distinguishing the difference between real and imagined thoughts, preparing yourself for what challenges may come up, or even just simply as believing in yourself a little bit more, and that you can overcome whatever obstacles come up. As for the fear of the unknown and the fear of change, learning that life will not always throw the same things at you. Things change, whether you like it or not. So even just by accepting the change and working through it, you already set yourself up for more success than you would being forced through it. For me, I found it beneficial to work alongside friends. It gave me a larger incentive to attend rehearsals, and it made me really enjoy what I was doing. By practicing my lines and movements every other day, it decreased the chance that I would mess up on stage. So, what happened? Well, after all that preparation, both mental and physical, it came time to perform. Overall, I think it's one of, if not the best things that I've ever done. I was filled with a sense of adrenaline and pride as I performed, but it was only when I had sat down after performing that I felt so happy with what I had managed to achieve. I'm a very introverted person, so I was amazed at how far my confidence, social and drama skills had all grown. And when we heard that our performance had won the competition, the sense of fulfillment that rushed through me made that experience unforgettable. So it was when I heard this quote the other day that it reminded me on why it's so beneficial to try new things. You realize at the point of maximum danger is the point of minimum fear. On the other side of your maximum fear are all the best things in life. With everything going on in our busy lives, we often forget or push aside the fears that hold us back and become complacent with what happens. But I'd like you all now to imagine what would happen if you took that step through the black door and how much your life would change. Thank you.